unless the stream key is different. Nope, there she goes. Excellent condition. Connection, I mean. And you should get this video here in a moment. So if you could get the link and share it with somewhere where I have headphones so that I can hear you.
Go to my computer.
What are you sending it through?
Messenger.
Okay.
When I have the ability to share. Yeah. What the fuck? Share. Copy. Can you hear me? If I'm talking, you can hear me. Everything's good. Yeah?
It's a couple seconds behind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just start talking like you would.
I would
Try
be.
to
Yeah, so I'm going to be going over some of the ways that we make our laser files, specifically how we go from iPad to GIMP to, what is it called, Inkscape, and then to the laser cutter. Sound good? Okay.
Yeah, they're coming through really clear.
Okay.
So, boy, when did you burp? I didn't hear the live burp.
Oh, that's weird.
So yeah, I think you should be able to go live. You may want, well, you'll see your own screen thing up
Yeah,
here.
it's right here, and it's over there, and I'm over here. Am I good?
Are you going to push it out anymore? Or does it do that?
It should do it now. It should be out now. Okay, well, hey anybody that comes to join this stream. Something that's been asked of me a lot is to actually go over how I make my laser files, specifically how I go from my iPad to GIMP to Inkscape to the laser cutter. So I'm going to try to cover some of that today. If you miss any parts of this, it will be available on the actual page. You should be able to view this later. It will be probably incredibly boring because this is not very exciting, but you can at least see how I do this on every project. The project that I'm going to be doing this week is a little bit different than any of the other ones. It's another map because I love maps. I'm not ashamed of that. I love maps. But it's a little bit different because of the fact that this map is 2 feet by 3 feet. Now, you guys have seen some of our other maps in the past. They're about 1 foot by 17 inches. They're really not that big because I'm pretty limited by the size of the Glowforge. What I learned in one of my previous videos is that I could separate the file a little bit more and do some different techniques to actually make the maps bigger and utilize the Glowforge in ways that are a little bit different. Some Glowforge users have this thing called a pass-through if you have the Pro model. We have a basic, so we don't have that. So I have to get a little creative with doing this. Hey, Clint. So what we're going to be doing this week is making that map fit in this. It's a 2 foot by 3 foot frame. So we're going to do what we can and try to make this work. And not knock over everything as I try to put this down. Okay. So, getting started, I do everything on my iPad. My iPad is the beginning because it is the easiest thing for me to do. I am not the best with technology in a lot of cases, and I am not that great at trying to design files with a mouse. I find it much easier to use an Apple Pencil and actually just draw out what I'm trying to do. My iPad allows me to actually go in and do layer by layer of what I want the map to look like. I try to focus on how I want the map to work. So a lot of times I think about where the resin's going to go, how the resin's going to pool, how many layers of wood I want, how I want them stacked, and what layers get what engraves. I do that all on the iPad to give myself a good idea of what I'm working with. And the tool I use is Sketchbook. Sketchbook is an Autodesk product. It's completely free, and it allows me to export as a Photoshop document so I can keep all of my layers. It's fantastic. I've had no problems with it in the past, and I plan to continue to use it moving forward, especially if I'm going to continue using my iPad as a main source of drawing these maps. Also, obviously, have an Apple Pencil. It's probably the best stylus I've ever used. I know there's a bunch of those like crappy ones that come on the back of pens. Those suck. This is way better. If you can get your hands on one of them, I highly recommend it. So, what I'm going to go over first is what you see on the screen is the map that I'm going to be working on. Since this map is for myself, and this map is going to go above my bed, I'm honestly doing a direct copy of someone else's work. Because I want this map. I want it in resin, and I want it above my bed exactly the way it is, as we see it right now. If I was doing a commission project for somebody, I would not take this exact map. I would alter it with many different reference images and try to make something of my own. But since this is not being sold to anybody, it's mine, and I'm going to do what I want with it. I figured that is a good way to kind of show you guys the process and not overcomplicate it, because it allows me to at least just show you how I can basically copy, paste, create laser file, all from one image. So what I get in my iPad when I download it to the computer is all of the lines that I had previously. So what I make in the iPad is basically all the lines that I'm going to be cutting, which is all these lines in blue. Those were drawn out. This is where the resin's going to pool into. Then I get all of my engraves. So obviously everything I plan on engraving is in yellow or orange. And then all of the sections I need to use within my Glowforge. So normally on a small map, I don't do this. I don't need to try to figure out a way to section out everything. But when thinking about a map that is 2 feet by 3 feet, I need to kind of try to think about how is this going to fit in my laser cutter? How are each individual piece going to, or how is each individual piece going to actually fit inside a 11.9 by 20 inch space? So I have to think about ways to actually part this all out. And what I found when making my file was that these 9 sections would be excellent ways to break this apart and be able to put it all together after the fact. So what I'm going to be doing with this is moving it from GIMP to Inkscape. And I've already started the process because I wanted to make sure that I did my file correctly when I drew it out. And I've basically got it done so it has the cut lines and the engraved lines. And that's really what this map's going to be, because it's going to be a single layer with resin. And I'm not even doing an acrylic panel for this one. I'm going to be doing a vinyl cut word layer because I don't have the room that I normally do for an acrylic panel. So really all I'm going to be focusing on this is getting the landmass and the engrave moved over and kind of explain what these lines all mean. So since I already did the first couple, I'm just going to be working my way through these. Probably going to be very minimal talking because I'm just going to get working on it. If there are any questions, definitely feel free to write them in the chat. I will do my best to answer those as they come up. And if there's anything else I can answer, just let me know. But I'm going to get started on some of these. What I'm going to do first is make sure I'm selected in my sections layer and just select everything that's in that color. What that's doing is giving me this nice little selection toolbar. And then I'm going to move from that layer over to my engraves layer, do Control Copy. We're going to be doing a lot of hopping back and forth from Inkscape to GIMP. we're going to paste. So there is all the engrave only from that section. Now we're going to grab any of the cut lines, copy, and then we're actually just going to take the whole section itself. So now that we have all three pieces, it just looks like pieces. How do we actually make this into a thing? So first I'm going to align them. Come on. Or I'm not, because Turi's computer is different than mine. We're going to just start tracing the bitmap. So something that makes laser files work really well is if they are vectorized, obviously, because they are much higher resolution. So what I'm going to be doing is tracing the bitmap almost everything. So we're going to start with this shape here, then deleting my old ones as I go. I'm going to grab this one, delete the old one. Come on. Can't select it. There you go. Delete the old one. Grab this guy. Same thing. Bring it over. Delete. So for the laser cutter, I like to keep most of my engraves as either blue or black. So I'm going to leave this. This is the engrave section. It's completely done. This is ready to be sent to the laser. I'm not going to do anything to that. What I am going to change is the cut lines, because right now these are two just complete fills. Fill is not how the laser sees lines. Fill is how the laser sees engraves. So we're going to get rid of the fill and fill it with and do a stroke instead. I'm also going to change that to red. What the heck? There you go. Change it to red, put a stroke on it, remove the fill. Okay, so this one here is completely done. This one is not. So what the big blob shape is going to be cutting out that exact section that I plan on using. What these lines are the actual like lakes and rivers and stuff. And you can see where the lines come from if we go back to here. So what Inkscape is doing when it traces the bitmap is it's taking the blue line and creating a vector out of it. And when you fill it, it looks like this thick blue line. But when you just take the stroke of it, it's just taking the inside and the outside of that shape. If you try to tell the laser to cut that, it's going to cut both of these lines. We don't want both of those lines. We need to get rid of some of them. The reason this shape didn't do that is because obviously it was a big shape. We don't need to worry about that. So what we're going to do is do some altering to this. I'm going to get rid of any stray little lines from me doodling, which is usually first, just to get those out of the way. What do you need, Terry?
I need to grab stuff on the other side.
Well, you can walk over and grab stuff. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, but it's like buried.
Well, everyone say hi to Terry. He's grabbing something. Hello, Wes, and Curly, and Sue. Should probably pay attention more to the live chat. So now we have all the little... Oh, no, we don't. We almost have all the little lines cleaned up. Now we have all the little lines cleaned up, but obviously we still have the double line issue. So we're going to select everything, and we're going to go to path, and we're going to go to path, and we are going to break apart. So now everything is its own individual little piece. And what I'm going to do is delete parts. Delete parts that I can. And then we're going to go over something different because there's a lot of that in this one. So I like to take the bigger of the lines because it makes the cuts that are being pulled out, or the little islands, bigger. And it's kind of better to have bigger islands because it's less stressful when you're actually trying to keep track of all your pieces. Okay. So we got to do a little bit of an interesting fix to a lot of these. You can see that this piece right here, I don't know why I'm trying to point at my screen, but this piece right here is one long shape. It's not two independent shapes, so we're going to make it two independent shapes so we only have one cut line. I'm going to do that by selecting some of these nodes down here and getting rid of them. And then doing the same thing over here. Just kind of breaks the path apart. And then if I click on this again and do the break apart, it's now two pieces. So I can now delete one of them. Nice and easy. For this, because this is an island, I need to try to match these back together. So I'm going to break this apart. I'm going to add a node here so I can break, come on, so I can break these apart. Then I'm going to select this and join them together. That's all this is a bunch of cutting and pasting. So now this is still one shape. We're going to go back to path and break it apart. Now we got a circle. Got to do this with a couple pieces, so let's get this out of the way really fast. Where's the end? There it is. Break apart. Turi, Clint says hi.
Hello.
Clint, I don't know if you could hear that, but Turi yelled hello. And for those of you that don't know how to pronounce Turi's name, it's Turi. Turi's currently working on his computer build over there. Building a new laser cut computer. You'll see a video on that very soon. And by very soon, I mean hopefully very soon. It's kind of big. Okay. Then we'll break this apart. I think I want to get rid of the internal one so there's a little bit more. No, that's not what I said. I want this one. Give me this one. Thank you. Oh wow, this one had a lot of those issues. It's just because I'm selecting from the middle of the map. When I'm closer to the end pieces, they have a lot more finalization to them. So I didn't have to do this as much. So this is all part of the joys of map making. This is what you guys pay the big bucks for when you join us on Patreon. You don't have to do this. I just give this to you. So yeah, if you want to support us monthly, feel free. What I'm doing with this one is really breaking it apart. So they're two completely separate islands. And then taking these. Okay. So we're gonna break apart. It is the Breath of the Wild map. I'll show you it real fast. Someone in the live chat is asking if this is the Breath of the Wild map. It is. It is this map, and we are working on this nice part in Central Hyrule. And you can see all this stuff that we're futzing with right now is the fact that this line goes through a bunch of little lakes. So we're trying to adjust for that. And get rid of all the double lines. break apart. So we're breaking everything apart. Yeah, break apart. Normally I would be having music playing during this, but you know, YouTube has copyright laws. And though we do have a subscription to a music service, I don't want to play DJ while doing this. So just know that I am doing this for you guys, and I would much like to be listening to music right now. Okay, so now that all of these cut lines are broken apart, I don't want them to move. I want them to stay exactly where they are, so I'm going to group them back together. And we're just going to play a little game of puzzling, trying to find exactly where I had things before. Which is sometimes easier said than done. Okay. And I only kind of, like, you can see where shapes are, so you can kind of tell where pieces are supposed to be. I've also spent a lot of time with this map already, and I have a pretty solid idea of where things are supposed to be. So now that these are correctly oriented, I'm going to group them together because I don't want them to break apart. And then I'm going to put this back where it belongs, which is just about here. Okay. So now we can see we have a whole section ready to go. Sorry if you hear a lot of squeaking in the background. Turi is running up and down our attic stairs right now, and we have a very old house, so it's making a lot of noise, and it'd be great if he stays put. I doubt he heard that, but it'd be great if he stays put. So what I'm going to do now is make sure all of these all of the water lines go to an edge. It's not exact. I mean, nothing about anything that I do is really exact. We just kind of jump around as we go and hope for the best. But you guys have seen that I make pretty solid maps, so you know that it will work out in the long run. Okay, cool. So this piece is completely done. It's all grouped together, and if you want to see how it all kind of pieces together, you can do that right here. Come on. Okay. I haven't decided what wood I want to use on this yet. I think I need to make a pretty big order of wood before I do this, because there's 9 pieces, and they're about a full sheet in the Glowforge each. So I need to probably make a full order of supplies. Okay, well, here we go. Now we have over half of the map done, which is pretty good. I know, isn't the Deku really cute? Look how cute he is. Yeah, and I really like the castle in this one. I can show you guys, the last one I did was based off of this image right here. And it's a top-down one, and it was really cool. But I really liked it the way that this one looks. I think it's so much cooler. Okay, so let's select a new section. Let's do this one down here. Yeah, let's do this one. Okay, so we're gonna take, come on. No, save, copy. Okay, so here's our next section. Let's grab the engrave. And then grab the cut lines. Can you just... Thank you. Sweet Jesus. Thank you, Martin. I agree. Okay. we're going to be doing a lot of tracing to bitmap again. Quickly grab all these. Getting rid of the fill and adding a stroke. Okay, and then this guy, like the last one, is already done. If you guys know from any of my other projects, when I do maps, I always torture myself with trees. The one nice thing about this map is how big it's going to be. So these trees, while there's a lot of them, and I'm insane like that, and I really do like the way trees look, they're at least bigger this time, so they're not tiny, and I'm not going to hate myself the entire time. I'll probably hate myself a little bit, but not nearly as much as I normally do. So we can put this guy over here. Don't know where it lines up yet. Let's go back into doing this. Oh, Jesus, what did I do? Okay. I accidentally reset the canvas orientation. Okay, so we're going to break this apart like we did before. Take care of all the easy ones. Yeah, Clint, that is, Clint just brought up in the chat, and Clint is C3D Prop Shop, for those of you who don't know, my good friend. He brought up that the Glowforge currently has a 1-month back order. Man, that is a small back order. When I got my basic, I think I waited like, I want to say 2, maybe 3 months for it, because I ordered it at the beginning of 2019, and I didn't get it until the end of like, I think it was the end of February. So yeah, it's a pretty hot product. I mean, people are buying them left and right, and I'm genuinely surprised by how well they're doing during the pandemic too. I get a lot of messages from people looking to buy Glowforges, and it's just like, oh my god. Martin, I am very sorry that you you got a million Glowforge ads, but the more you watch me, the more of those ads you're gonna get, because I honestly love my Glowforge. It's the best thing that's like ever happened to our house, and it sits right there. It sits in our attic, and I'm okay with it. Oh man, you left a lot of messages. What did I miss? It's okay if you're fanboying over here. If you want to talk about fanboying, let's talk about the time that Kyle Hill actually contacted me to buy a map. Direct messaged me, and I'm just like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing this right now. I'm going to drop everything I'm doing and just get you exactly what you're looking for, because sweet Jesus. Yeah, that was a fanboy moment. Okay, so now we have most of the little lakes popped out. No, we don't, because I am bad at looking. Get rid of all these little lines. And I don't know how it would work on a CNC. I bet these lines would probably be able to be engraved out if you're putting resin in them. I don't know. Clint, this is where I refer to you for CNCs. I don't know how people use my files if they are going to use them on CNCs, because I don't truly understand how CNCs work. So, yeah. I feel like there's some sort of bit or tool you can use to make this work on a CNC. Are you really, Martin? Martin just wrote that they're in school for CNC machining right now. Let me tell you something. I really want a CNC. Like, really bad. And I know my friends in the chat are probably gonna yell at me, because I really am pretty on board with the idea of an inventable. Because they just seem like the Glowforges of CNCs, and nice and easy for someone like me to understand. And I know Clint's gonna yell in the chat, Shapeoko for days. But that just seems too difficult to me. I like the idea of something being as easy as the Glowforge web app is. Like, the reason I got so good at laser cutting is because of the fact that I finally understood how it worked after using the simple products. I bet I'd get that way for CNC eventually, but I feel like I'm going to mess up a lot of pieces before I fully understand it. But I also need a bigger house before I can do that, so maybe when we move. Okay, so I'm going to break all this apart again. Sorry if I burp at all. I'm drinking soda right now. That's probably not that good of an idea. Yeah, see, Clint, I get it. I understand things. I was thinking of V-bit the whole time I was saying that. Yep, see, Clint finally wrote in the chat, Shapeoko. Now, I don't know if anybody, or what everybody uses for their differing CNCs. But, again, I will reiterate. I like the idea of a web app because it sounds simpler to me. And he just wrote in the chat, again, web apps are not my favorite. I agree, because the one really big qualm I have with Glowforge is the fact that everything is done through the web app. And it works most of the time. I've been having more problems as my Glowforge is starting to age. I've been having a lot of issues with it actually connecting to Wi-Fi. I've had to reconnect it quite a bit, actually. And I don't have the best luck with it. So I'm hoping that, like, I'm hoping that they give me the option down the road to just use a tool of some sort. Trying to talk and read. Martin, yeah, Fusion 360 is downloaded directly to my computer. And it doesn't require Wi-Fi at all. But I'm saying that the CNC machine Shapeoko, or not Shapeoko, the Inventables X-Carve one, that has a web app that's very similar to Glowforge's. So you're able to, like, kind of just drag and drop a thing in there and put it into the machine to make it go. I don't know how to use Fusion, like, at all. I'm on Turi's computer right now, and you can probably see that Fusion is open at the bottom, but that's because he's using it, not me. I don't really know how that machine or how that system works at all, but he does, and that's why I keep him around. Okay. So one thing this map actually doesn't have that I really want to add, and you can see on here that I have new locations as an option. And kind of bummed me out that this map doesn't have this kind of stuff. But I really want the towns to be more prevalent. You can see I have little stars in here. I want to put a spot for all the towns as well as all of the labyrinths. I don't know why they don't have all the 3 different labyrinths written out, or the tech labs. So I really want to add those in. And have something else to put in there. Oh, also the Coliseum that sits right here, because the amount of times I've died there is unreal. Hey, Dante! There's a good amount of our Discord members hanging out in the live chat. If you want to have unnecessary amount of access to me and Turi, we're pretty much in Discord all day long. So definitely feel free to check it out. Okay, so something I want to make sure that's on here is that all of these extra lines are going back to here, or to the outside line. That's because, like I've said before, this outside line, this outside big circle, is just getting us our piece. It's just cutting that piece out of the bigger hole. what this inside, or what all these little inside lines are doing, they are actually the lakes and rivers themselves. So while I'm cutting out this big outer circle, I'm really only going to be concerned about what's inside all of the little lakes and rivers when I put it all down. I don't really know how well it's going to work with 9 pieces, but this is basically how I did it when I did the big map of Taldori. So I'm hoping that it kind of just works out and I don't have to question it. Oh, something else the Glowforge does that I'm not really that thrilled about, and something that can get a little annoying, is the fact that it doesn't always like vector engraves. It takes forever to load on the web app. So what I've been doing with these bigger ones, or all these maps lately, is exporting the engraves as a PNG in the highest quality I possibly can for the machine, which is 1000 DPI. And then I'll bring that engrave into the Glowforge and print it out from there. If I were to print out the vector, it can definitely print out the vector, but you get the possibility of a stray line or two. I don't think... This map doesn't have any stray lines on it, which is great, but there was... The Middle Earth one has 1 stray line, and the Taldori one has 2. So I've since then learned any of my big engraves will be PNGs 100% of the time. So we're going to group this all together so it doesn't move. Group. And this is where you'll start to actually see the shape take form. Now normally I would fix... You can see that there's a lot of curviness in this piece right here. I'm not worried about that because within this piece that we're looking at, it's inside of a river. And we're not going to be utilizing this part of it at all. The part that we are utilizing for the bridge over Lake Hylia is this piece, which is... Oh god, I just bumped the microphone. We're using this piece, which is a lot straighter and a lot cleaner. So right here is going to be where wood is, and right here is going to be where resin is. So the fact that it looks all wonky like that, I don't really care. It's not going to matter. Okay. So now you can kind of see that these nice wavy lines are where the rivers are, and my cut line for all the pieces are throughout the rivers. So where the seams meet are actually where water is right now. And that's how I decided a lot of where the seams are. Because I was able to hide a lot of my crimes. The thing that I'm going to run into is the fact that I like wood grain to be matching throughout the whole thing. That's not going to be the case here. It's not going to work that way. Oh, thank you, Clint, for answering that question for me. To Bajan, you found me on Reddit because of the Witcher map and you were blown away. Hey, thanks. I appreciate it. Is making these commissions your primary line of work? No, it is not. Clint is correct. I am a project manager for a living. Turi, my husband, who you might see walking back and forth, he is a computer engineer of sorts. His job's kind of confusing. But yeah, we do not do this full time yet. I would really like to do it full time, but we're not quite there yet. And I only do commissions on some projects. I really don't do commissions that often because a lot of stuff I like to keep myself. But if commissions make sense for certain things, I will do them. If they make good YouTube content, really. Okay, so now we have a lot of the pieces done. Let's move on to the next one. And again, guys, I said from the beginning, this is going to be a little boring. So feel free to pay attention for as much of it as you want. What the heck? What did I do here? I left a line here. Gonna deselect it real fast. Gonna just kind of get rid of it. And this is kind of what happens when you draw out all your stuff. Flying by the seat of our pants over here, guys. Okay, so there's our section. Oh, save often. I'm gonna make sure I save here. Okay. Okay. I do have to say, in the last 3 days, our When Geeks Craft family has gotten quite a bit bigger thanks to my good friend Kyle Hill. That was very kind of him to share all of our stuff as often or as much as he did. He did not need to do that, and I told him many times he didn't need to do that, but he basically insisted. So I'm not going to take away the free advertisement. And I am very happy that we got the opportunity to work with him. But I know a lot of you that are probably hanging out or stopping into the live chat probably don't know much about what we do. And it really is a lot of artwork. We do some prop building, but it really is mostly me doing laser crafts. So if you ever have any ideas or suggestions, we'd love to hear it. But yeah, this is not going to be the typical like Kyle Hill office hours. No, this is me just randomly showing you how I make files. So sorry if it's a little boring, but you know, not everything that we do in art is fun. And sometimes you gotta do the boring stuff. But this is the thing that people ask me the most, and I would love to have something to send to people to show how I do it. Kyle is a super nice dude. So being part of his Patreon and being members of his thing gets you access to his Discord channel. I am in there probably just as much as I'm in the Discord for When Geeks Craft. And I've talked to him many times, especially about the custom map that we worked on. But I've had the opportunity to chat with him a lot because he's on the voice channels almost all the time. So you're able to talk, play Magic with him. Like when he says that in the end of his videos, he is probably one of the most consistent creators I've seen on YouTube that actually communicates with his community. I've never seen that before. I'm in a couple other Discord channels for other YouTube makers or YouTube personalities, and they're never in their Discords. They have their moderators do everything. And it's kind of sad when you see that, but then when you go to his, he's got moderators and they're everywhere, but he's also everywhere, which is kind of dope. Also, a suggestion about the Coliseum. Is it possible to grab either a pic of the actual Breath of the Wild Coliseum or general Coliseum and bring it into Photoshop, silhouette it, and do a line art of the outlines of it? Honestly, that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. I'm going to end up doing that for all the tech labs as well. Because I really do want something like that in here. I don't see why they're not there. I want to do that for the towns. Especially, what is it, Kakarika? The place that has the chickens in it. I want to do it for that as well. And I want to do like the shape of those houses that are there. So I'm probably going to do some sort of off-screen drawing. I would love to show you guys me actually drawing all this stuff. But my iPad is really broken and not great. And I need to replace it really bad. And there's no way it would survive me streaming drawing from it. It would poop itself. It'd absolutely poop itself. You know, You can give me all the pronunciations in the world that you want to, but I am the worst speller and the worst pronunciator ever. So I appreciate you. Appreciate you giving me that pronunciation. But I'm going to embarrass myself even more by trying to pronounce it. So we're just going to not. And this is where I'm going to be a bad internet personality, because like people are going to comment on stuff. Like luckily your name's Martin. Like that's nice and easy. But people with insane usernames, oh man, you're just going to kill me. It's just not going to go well. Okay, are we all broken apart? Oh wow, yeah, okay. And before I break all these apart, I want to get this all into place around it, because I want to make sure that I'm lining them up I want to make sure I'm lining it up with the next section correctly. So I'm going to put all this where it should be. Okay. And this will make sense in a second. But because I've been willy-nilly removing the inside or the outside of everything, I want to make sure that I'm removing the correct line for the resin. So like this one, I gotta remove the inside. Fuck. Oh, excuse me. Screw you. Break apart. And I know this is gonna start looking real jumbled real fast. So I apologize, but this is the joy of laser file making. I'm gonna line up these two. Yeah, I'll never not read your last name as Wiggle. I'm so sorry. Okay. Those are nice and tidy. This one I get to choose. So we're going to, first off, extend this. And then remove this guy. Okay. And then we're gonna break you apart and get rid of your innards. And I hope this kind of makes sense, where you can see that this lake has a big old cut line through it. And I'm not really concerned about how this... I know that there's going to be gaps and stuff within the kerf of everything. It's not going to be perfect, but that's because I'm trying to fit a 2-foot by 3-foot map in a very small laser cutter. So I kind of gotta do what I gotta do. Okay. I gotta make sacrifices places. And I think I'm gonna be sacrificing how nicely some of the pieces get together. Yes, resin is going to cover a lot of these lines. That's why, like I was just saying, I don't really care if they blend together. Like this line, you're never gonna see this line. This line is non-existent. It needs to be there because I'm separating out all the pieces, but it's not going to be in the final product. Okay, trying to catch up quickly in the live chat. It is much harder than you would think to try to read and think about what you're working on at the same time. God bless America. There we go. Object. Break apart. Cool, cool, cool. And then we're gonna get this to the edge. Get this to the edge. Okay, I think that is a complete piece. So I'm going to select everything and scooch it on out of here so I can group it all together. And we're going to save. Oh, it's all good if you're talkative, Martin. I don't really care. Keeps me slightly entertained while I am working, but just know that I'm probably not going to be able to catch everything you're saying. That's not because I don't want to. It's because I don't have that much of an attention span. Okay. Look at that. I think we only have, what, 2 pieces left? Hot diggity dog. Yeah, 2 pieces. Does that mean I can laser cut it out tonight? No, because I do need a break every once in a while, and I am already tired from a long day of work. So I'm probably just going to get this file done and be done for it. Oh, again, save often. Save, excuse me, save a lot. Just like before, taking the stroke, getting rid of the fill for these. This is already done as is, and then we gotta deal with this monstrosity. So what exactly does trace to bitmap do? Trace to bitmap honestly takes whatever image you throw at it and tries its best to convert it to a vector image. So if I were to here to show you, if I were to select all, take this entire map, just for shits and gigs, like let's just take the entire map. Let's save really fast because this might crash my computer. Copy and paste it into here. Let's copy and paste the correct layer. So copy, paste. Yeah. Oh Lord is right, Martin. Let's do this. Oh no, we have a scrolly wheel of death. Martin, I think you might have broke my computer. No, you didn't. Okay. So, gonna save real fast because it's probably gonna crash. And I don't want it to, but I want this experiment. So if we trace the bitmap, you can see right here in this image that you kind of get an image of the map itself. If I hit OK, and then we wait. Oh, it actually did it pretty right away. We could get a good shot of engraving this thing. Like this, you could engrave this. There's a lot of detail that's missing because it's super fuzzy. But this is completely engravable if you want to. There's no cut lines. Like you can see, like the words are really hard to read. It's not really worthwhile. That's why I take a lot of the time to draw everything out. Because it's much clearer if I draw it out, and it's a lot less pixelated. Okay, so we're going to... It's a good question though, because a lot of people ask like, well, why can't you make these like faster? Isn't there an easier way to do it? And there might be, but the easiest way I found to do it is this way, which is just draw it on my iPad and then go from there. Oh yeah, we are literally hand drawing all the outlines. Like when you get one of our files, it is something that I have probably spent 1 or 2 days, maybe 3 days, honestly just tracing out. It seems insane, because it is insane, but it's necessary for me to get the quality I want. So when you see a ton of really small details, it's because I've taken the time to sit there and draw out all those little small details. So it's even funnier when people yell at me for making so many trees, because I drew those trees. That's my own fault. I should know better, but I don't. If you ever get a Glowforge and you want to become a member, definitely feel free to do so. We would love to have you. All of our files are really optimized to be on the Glowforge. So if you were to get one, it's probably the best one you can get because the files are going to be as ready as they can be. Ooh, this is an interesting issue. So we're gonna do something we haven't had to do yet, because I want these two lines to meet up, but they're on different pieces. So we're gonna combine this real fast. Combine. So now it's one nice old little vector path. We're going to select our little nodes, join them together, select this one and this one, join them together. Must have just not hit the... I must have not drawn the line thick enough for it to be picked up. Delete that. I don't know how this one is gonna go. So let's break that apart now. I mean, yeah, that works. Okay. That worked out. I'll do that. Yeah, red lines are the ones that get cut. I I try to always make red lines cut lines because I like to keep things nice and together in my brain. But like I was saying earlier in this stream, I'm interchangeable on the engrave color. Honestly, sometimes I'll use multiple engrave colors because I just don't want to. I want to keep things separated. The Glowforge allows you to use whatever engrave color you want to. It doesn't really matter. Or it actually lets you use any colors. There's no color pathing in the Glowforge. It just takes like-minded colors. Like-minded. It takes similar colors and forces you to use the same tool pathing on all of those. So like red is going to be cut because in my brain that makes sense. But engraves, I'm kind of whatever on engraves. I like to keep it either blue or black. If I'm taking over a PNG from Inkscape, I'll export it as black because that's the sharpest image you're going to get. Because PNGs actually do take into effect what the original color is. And if you have your engraves as anything other than black, then you're not going to get as fine of detail as you would if they were. So using the most color possible is better for PNGs. So that's why I'm kind of whatever on engrave color, because I use them so interchangeably. And I'll show you what the program looks like for Glowforge so you can kind of get an idea. Yeah, Clint, do tell. What'd you talk to Mr. Dan Shapiro about? That you want a Glowforge and you want to use my referral code? Feel free to. It's in the description below. It's actually the best way to feed my cats. I hope you sent him an email about the fact that the basics are so back ordered right now. I also like that you called him Dan the Glowforge man. Object. Break apart. Oh, Clint, did you seriously buy one? Because I swear I did have a Clint that came up in one of my referral emails very recently. And I didn't think that you'd actually pull the trigger on a Glowforge. Now you're making me check my email. Because I keep a spreadsheet full of all the people that buy referrals from us. For the tax man. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and scroll through all of this to find your email, but if you seriously used it, that's pretty dope of you. And if you want assistance with it, you got a bunch of us in the Discord server. Oh, you haven't. So you made me feel bad for a second just to tell me you haven't used it. I feel like you would have texted me like right away if you had used the link and you were buying it. I like to think that we're good enough friends where you would tell me right away. Okay, cool beans. Group that. Ooh, I don't know how that's gonna work. So I have the Divine Beast. What's this one? I don't think it's Van Ruda. It might be Van Ruda. I don't know. But I have the Divine Beast located in the lake. That's not gonna work. Because there's gonna be resin there. And I don't want that to be. I mean, I can cricket that out. It's not that small. How small are you? Yeah, thank you, Von Ruda. I thought it was the Ruda one. I could cricket that out. I don't want to, but I also don't want it to go anywhere else. I mean, it lives in that lake. It's very obviously in that lake. I think it needs to stay there. I think I just need to shut up about it and just deal with it later. That's a future Nicole problem. Come on. I have all these tiny little things. And it will just cause the laser to sit there and cut out all these circles that I can just take 2 seconds and get rid of. Okay, so. I have Terry's stupid microphone stand in the way and I can't see anything. This one is not one that has really any obvious lines for me to follow, annoyingly enough. So I kind of just have to try my best to line this up. I don't know why these pieces aren't together. Object. Combine. Combine. Thank you. I'm going to drag this over and try to make sure all the puzzle pieces fit. Again, I don't really care too much about where the rivers are. I'm more looking at like these pieces right here. I want this to line up so that way when they're all glued together, they all line up. I did watch The Office Hours about the Beirut explosion. The Beirut explosion has been fascinating to me. Like, it's horrifying. But I've watched, like, way too much of it at this point. Where I'm just, like, I'm fascinated that it even happened. Yeah, Clint, I would get over the user or the internet thing. Like, it's annoying, but it shouldn't be a non-starter for a Glowforge. I think they're just, it's too good of a machine to be upset about the fact that it uses Wi-Fi, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, it's kind of annoying. But I never once have to deal with the problems that like Donovan has to deal with his K40. I never have those fussy issues. I've had one in the past, 18 months, and that's happened in the last like 2 weeks when I needed to order a new ribbon cable. And that's just because it finally gave out. It's a part that gives out really easily on the Glowforge. So like, oh no, it happened, what, 18 months in? And I spent $18 to fix it? Oh yeah, the news media about the Beirut explosion has been like just weird. It's uncomfortable and I don't like it. Okay, I think we have all of this stuff pretty well lined up. And I'll do another thorough check to make sure like all of the lakes line up, or all the rivers line up together, because that's going to be the most important part of all of this. And again, I'm doing this like on the fly, so like it's going to be a little wonky in some places. Yeah, and Clint, that's so accurate. And I'm sorry, guys, that I'm hopping between two different conversations about Beirut and laser cutters. But, like, I don't have time. And the reason I love the Glowforge so much is I don't have time to sit around and try to tinker with something. If I'm going to do something, I want it to work and I want to not fight with it. So that's why I personally believe the Glowforge is one of the best laser cutters. It's basically a Cricut. Like, and anyone can use a Cricut. They're so simple. And why not make a powerful tool simple? Like, why do I want something that is so unbelievably frustrating and only wants to cut through stuff half the time or engrave stuff haphazardly? Or do I just want to be able to put a piece of acrylic in and know that it's going to engrave it? Like, I see so many people using K40s, and that's great. If you have the time to do that, more power to you. But I would be so discouraged constantly by laser cutting if it didn't just work all the time. But for me, it just works all the time, and I never have to worry about it, and it's like the best thing. You know what? So Martin just asked in the comment section, are Cricuts aimed at children? I don't think so. So, and neither are necessarily Glowforges. I think Cricuts are way more, Cricuts and Glowforges are way more aimed at, I hate to say this, but like the stay-at-home mom community. Someone that wants the ability to make cool crafts, but doesn't want to take the time to learn too many complex things. And not to say like stay-at-home moms can't learn complex things, so that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that like you don't have the time, like Clint was saying, to sit around and futz with something. You have the time to make something work and make something awesome. And that's what I feel like Cricuts and Glowforges excel at. They're able to make a product that makes something really freaking cool, but makes it super easy to use. And that in turn allows children to have easier access to stuff. Like, making something simple to use only opens up the possibilities for people. Like, it's so easy to have a friend come over and understand how to use the laser cutter, and they're able to do stuff right away. So it's just, I feel like simplicity does lay hand in hand with like children using stuff, but it also just lays to hand like not being frustrated with the tools you have in the house. Oh, Dante, hey, buddy, you know what, man? You give me too much money. I'm going to say that. I'm not going to stop you, because I appreciate you. But you give me too much money. But you can keep doing it. For whatever reason, I remember For whatever reason, I just seem to remember an ad a while back making it seem like it's more kids craft oriented. Yes. So I know what you're talking about. And I think they're trying to do exactly what I'm talking about. Like, a lot of people that have children at home only want to buy things that are going to be multi-use for their household because they don't really have time to do their hobbies. So if you can make their hobbies be something that is something that a child can do as well, you're going to have a much better time because you can involve your children. There's a lot of crafts kids can do on the Cricut. I wouldn't trust a kid to operate the thing on their own because there's a lot of finicky parts to it. And there's a lot of nuance to kind of being able to lay vinyl properly. But it is something that a kid could do. I mean, the one good thing I know is that when we finally do have kids one of these days in the future, not anytime now, but when we do, our kids are going to have the ability to use all of the tools in the house and be able to be comfortable using tools. And I think what the kind of tools that we keep in our house now are very approachable for people of any age. I taught my dad how to use the laser cutter once. I don't think he'd be able to do it now, but at least he knows how files need to be set up for the laser cutter if he ever wanted to come over here and do that. Not now because of coronavirus and he's not allowed in my house, so Dad don't come to my house. But he could if the world wasn't shut down. Okay, guys, we're just about done. Just about. Got this last panel. And then I'm going to show you a couple of different things. So let's just power through this. I know we've been going for what, like an hour and 17 minutes? Oh my god. Oh my god. Time flies when you're having fun, guys. How much more, less, same, versatile is the Glowforge compared to the Cricut? I think if you're going to... That's not true. I wouldn't say if you're going to spend the money, I would buy a Glowforge. Because a Glowforge and a Cricut are very wildly different prices. I think that a Glowforge is way more versatile. Oh shit. I think Glowforge is way more versatile because there's so much you can do with the Glowforge. There is definitely a limit to what you can do with a Cricut because it's a very 2D kind of platform. Obviously, Glowforge is 3D for the most part. Like thicker woods, you can consider it 3D. And then if you really want to get 3D, you got the 3D printer. But I think they all have their own function. But if I were to choose one machine to have in the house, Cricut or 3D printer, Cricut or laser cutter, I would by far choose the laser cutter. Because laser beams are sweet. Better question, how long do I plan on streaming? I plan on streaming until I am done with all these pieces, so probably like another 20 minutes. And then I'm gonna go take a break, maybe watch some TV. Because I've been sitting in this attic since 8 a.m. So one weird thing about coronavirus is both Turi and I have been work from home. So I'm sitting at his desk right now because I have a laptop that I use normally. And my laptop is perfectly fine for doing all these files, but it cannot do the files and stream at the same time. It will be sad. So I'm doing all this from his computer. But I have been in the same 12-foot space since 8 a.m. I haven't gone outside today, which kind of sucks. I did go downstairs to make lunch and dinner and breakfast. Yeah, I haven't left the house in such a long time. So I do like to get out of the attic and take a quick break. And I got about like an hour and a half of daylight left. So I'm going to try to finish this and maybe go to the garden. Get some of my tomatoes. Well, I never really take a night off. One weird thing about running like a YouTube channel, I don't want to say like I run a big YouTube channel because I don't, but running any sort of social media account, I'm always available. I always have my notifications on. I honestly work probably 120 hours a week, 40 of them being my actual job. So I know you were surprised when I like commented or responded to your comments. I respond to all the comments because if I'm going to grow my channel enough to be able to make it a full-time job, I need to be willing to put in the investment early so I can grow. So when I say take the night off, I mean I'm still going to be available on Discord and on YouTube comments and wherever else people want to try to reach me. But I'm probably going to be slow about it. Well, I responded to you like 7 times because we were talking about Zelda. Like, let's get that right out of the way. I love Zelda, as I'm currently working on a Zelda map. So anytime anyone wants to talk about that, I am willing. I also really want to start streaming it, but again, I don't have that much time in my day, and I just kind of keep forcing myself to do more. And I'm gonna go insane if I do that, and while keeping a full-time job. So I need to figure out a way to not have that burden anymore. I'm glad I made a good impression on you. I hope I make a good first impression on everybody. I like to think I'm a nice lady. I'm kind of harsh sometimes. Turi has to deal with a lot, but I like to think I'm a nice lady. Cool. So now we got this whole thing broken apart. Hey, and this is going to be where all the lava lives. I haven't broken these little pieces apart yet because I don't know what lines I need to break apart. I need to conjoin it with the other piece real fast first. We are all harsh sometimes. Don't die on Death Mountain. The amount of times I have fallen off of Death Mountain. And you know, like those, you find those funny clips on like Reddit where you just see the endless falling of somebody down Death Mountain. Man, I think that happens to all of us. Like, if you haven't fallen all the way down Death Mountain, I feel like you've played the game wrong. Because I have just biffed it the whole damn way. Ragdoll physics. Yeah, some of the ways that Link just sadly meets his doom is just so freaking funny to me. I love watching clips of him dying. I know that's really morbid, but some people have some really solid ones on Reddit. Justin, you watched all of our videos yesterday. Why? I'm kidding. It's funny to think that like we have a somewhat of a catalog built up now, because if you would have told me last year at this time we would have that, I'd laugh at you. But like now I'm really pleased with kind of the little catalog we have built up. Some of our earlier videos I wish I could delete, but I'm not going to. Clint, are you telling me you haven't fallen down Death Mountain? Because if you haven't, like, I'm one, impressed. But I feel like you kind of have to. Also, fun fact, Turi has never beat this game. He's never finished it. He never wanted to. Apparently, when I took it over, he found no interest in finishing it. And I think he's a monster to this day for it. If anyone ever asks me what my favorite video game is, I have no hesitation, and I just say Breath of the Wild. I am beyond jacked for the next game. Hey Justin, thank you. The Catan board looks amazing in the basement. We're slowly making the basement into the D&D room. So this room that I'm in right now is our attic. And it's when we bought the house, we bought it specifically for D&D like 3 years ago. And because it was a great big open space, it could be our office and everything and all that fun stuff. But as we've started to grow When Geeks Craft, it's become way more of a project space, and it's become a huge burden to have D&D up here. Because like if you can see behind me, I don't know if you can or not, but like Turi's got a whole project going on over there, and I've got all my stuff over there. Before, we used to set up a bunch of tables, and we had all these chairs up here, and it was a big hassle. So we're really trying to make this area the workshop, and downstairs the D&D room. Luckily with COVID, D&D has been online anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah. Clint, how have you not faced Ganon yet? Oh my god. And Heath, I think that's Heath Westover. Can you just ask him if it's coming out? Like, that's all I want to know. Like, is it happening? I just need to know. I don't care when. Just is it coming out? Ever. Oh god, that kills me. So for those of you that can't read the live chat, there's a nice new person named Heath that's in there saying that he's got a friend that works for the development team, and they won't give him any information about the game. And I think that's a crappy friend, Heath, and you should be upset with that person, because I, like many, just want to know and get affirmation that that game will come out eventually. But like, I waited how many years for Kingdom Hearts 3 to come out? I can wait for Legend of Zelda, but I just don't want to. I have not played Blue Protocol. I haven't even heard about that. So I'm really bad at playing video games. I don't want to say really bad. Like, I play a lot of video games. But I much prefer to do a playthrough of a video game watching Turi play it. Because I just don't have the time to invest in a video game, really. But I do have the time to sit there and watch him play it. And I genuinely love doing that. I think it's super fun. Ooh, that's gonna suck and be stupid. This line is not necessary. Sorry, focusing so I can... Okay. Yes, Clint, we did wait a decade for Kingdom Hearts 3. And let me tell you something. Seriously, defining game of my defining game of my childhood. I played so much G-dang got so much Kingdom Hearts. Like probably way too much Kingdom Hearts. And when the third one came out this past year, I took off of work. Like I took off of work to play it, and I had no problem saying to my boss I was taking 3 days of PTO to play Kingdom Hearts, because it had been a minute. Board games all day throughout COVID, or was doing Gloomhaven before COVID, so we have very minimal game board experience, just because we never really played them very often. I played a ton of Catan, and I played a ton of like Munchkin and code names, things like that, but I haven't really gotten into too much board games. But I've heard Gloomhaven is fantastic, and I would like to play that one. Hey Donovan, and there is no such thing as too much Kingdom Hearts. You're really right. Except for this last one where Donald had to let you know when there was ingredients everywhere, and I'm pretty sure Turi was going to divorce me during that time because it was so obnoxious. I started replaying it like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he made me stop because it was too annoying. Okay, so here's all of our pieces. Took a hot minute to get there. But we have all of our pieces. Now, surprisingly, this shape right here is the size of that giant frame. This is a 2x3 sheet. And we need to get all of these pieces down to something that would fit inside the laser cutter. So I'm going to undo everything I just moved around because I wanted to show you guys the pieces. Group this all together. Okay. Cool. So now we are going to. So this is basically the entire map. There's none of the words are here. Like I said, I'm going to be cricketing those. I'm going to group this all together so I can shrink everything down together. So right now our map is sitting at 54 inches wide by 37 inches tall. And oh, I need my little piece of paper. Okay, and I need to make it 23, the inside of the frame is 23.5 inches tall by 35 and 5/8 inches wide. So I want to probably make it a max height. We're gonna lock this so it stays uniform. I'm gonna make it max height of 23. Okay, so this is 23 by 33.25. And the only corner that's going to be true is this bottom one, because this is the absolute corner of the map itself. That's where I'm going to start gluing everything down. I'm going to use the Gerudo Valley as the main starting point. So this is our entire map. I'm probably going to extend No, it's not in metric, Clint. It is in inches. I am sorry. I'm doing the worst units. I'm doing inches because, you know, America's bad. I have been slowly trying to switch a lot of things to metric because metric makes way more sense. And I use centimeters and millimeters more than I use inches. But on something this scale, I've just been thinking in the term of inches. Because that's just kind of how my brain's working. But this area right here, as you can see, it's not to the top of the map. I'm going to extend this to be to the top of the map. But what size are we at right now? So if we're going to break this apart, all the pieces have to be somewhere between 10.9 inches high and 17.8 inches long. So this guy's good. This guy's good. This guy's good. And I'm just checking up here where it says the width and height. This guy's possibly good if I rotate it. Now this guy's good, which is going to affect my wood grain, but you know, I have to get over that. Donovan, this is not a commission. This is going in my house. This guy's good. This one's good. This one's good. This one's definitely going to be good. This one I don't think will be. So, if I rotate it, will it? No. So this guy's going to be way too big. And I think what I'm going to just do, because it's too wide, I might have to cut it into 2 pieces. And I might just do that on my iPad and do that after stream. And find a new place to divide it and do it just like I've done everything else. But I want to drag one into Glowforge and show you guys kind of what it looks like. So we're going to update the document to be Glowforge size now, which is width of 17.5. I know someone, if anyone knows Glowforges, you're going to yell at me because it's 18 by 12. Well, it's not really. By 11. This is really more accurate. Because you can only engrave so much. So if I'm going to put this guy right in here. We're going to save this. Let me just say, if this was a commission and I was doing it at this size, this would be multiple thousands of dollars. And you would not want to pay for this. And I would not want to ship it. Not go to meeting. We want app.glowforge. So we're going to bring this in. And this is the Glowforge Design Studio, for those of you that don't know what this is. We're uploading our design. You can see all of Terry's computer case components here. Oh, I agree. It would be worth it to buy that from me, Martin. I definitely agree. I don't think I would want to give it away. There's a lot of pieces that people have bought. Like Donovan, he bought my tapestry, and I haven't made one since, and I always wanted one in my house. That's why I made it. But then he bought it, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to stop you from buying it if you're going to pay me money for it. But, like, sometimes you can't not sell it. Like, someone gives you too good of a price for it. Martin asked how big was Kyle's. Clint said that's inappropriate to ask, but the answer is it was 10.9 wide by 17.5 tall. It was probably one of the biggest full bed maps I've made. It almost completely utilized the like square footage of the map of the bed. Okay, so this is me bringing in that one piece. This is the inside of the laser cutter. There's nothing in there right now. I'm not turning it on because it will make a lot of noise in the background. But you can see that I have this set to engrave and this set to cut. What I was talking about earlier with the fact that sometimes Glowforge will do phantom lines across. And what I like to do is something I never like to explain in writing because it just takes so long to explain. In writing at least. But I'm going to show you real fast. And it's basically just taking just the selection and exporting it as a PNG, but exporting it at 1000 dots per inch. And we're gonna put it in the right file area. I'm gonna move this over here so you guys don't need to see where all of our files are. Media drive. Okay. What is this? The Rito area PNG. Okay, so I am exporting this as a PNG. Come on. Doing 1000 dots per inch. Chosen area is invalid. Selection. It's not invalid. Don't be dumb, Inkscape. There you go. Yeah, aren't the Divine Beasts really cute? They didn't have any in there, so I felt the need to add them. So what I'm going to make note of is the exact size of that piece I have selected. And I'm just going to copy the width. And then if I go back to Glowforge and I upload that Rito area PNG. It's going to take a second to process. And this is again that that whole your system's on a web browser thing. I'm gonna wait 6 years. Man, this is bad to do live on screen. But you guys need to know it, because it's important. I'm going to delete all these while we're waiting, because we don't need to sit with them taking up bandwidth. I'm going to try to import that again. There we go. Now I'll get less confused. Okay, so you can see that it's bigger. It comes in bigger than the original image. So I'm just going to go down to the bottom, and the scale I'm going to, since it's in inches, just copy and paste that scale from Inkscape. Now it's the correct scale, and I'm going to set this to be a draft photo engrave. I'm going to vary the power. I'm going to kick up the lines per inch because I want this to be very detailed, and since this is a big map, you're going to see the laser lines, and I don't want that. And then we're just going to play the lineup game. Okay. And then I will ignore the original vector. And now I have a PNG that it's going to engrave. And it's going to engrave a PNG so much better than it will engrave, surprisingly, a vector, because you don't have the possible chance of the laser seeing an open node from a vector and causing a phantom line that goes across it. This is not always necessary. This is something I do as a precaution since I've been burned so many times on so many final projects. I don't want to ever see one of those lines again, so I will take the time to just make it a quick PNG. When I give my files on Patreon, I don't include the 17 different files of PNGs because I'm not going to burden everybody with those. If you want to export your own PNGs, you're more than able to. You're more than welcome to. I highly recommend it, and I've honestly don't think I've ever talked about me doing this in part of my process in a video, because this whole thing has taken me, what, we've been streaming for almost 2 hours now, because this takes a long time, and it's kind of hard to explain. So, doing a PNG within a Glowforge is going to give you a lot less chance of having phantom stray engraved lines, and that's going to make you very happy down the road. So now what I would do is honestly just engrave this. And this is probably, since it's a full sheet, this will probably be a 2 to 3, maybe even 4 hour engrave because of how big it is. But I'm not going to start that now. I need to order wood before I even get this process started, and I need to fix that one piece. And then I also need to figure out all the words and how I'm going to do that, because I really don't know yet. But that's all I'm going to cover in this session now. If you have any other questions, feel free to throw them in the live chat. Maybe even throw them in a comment below. So there's a comment that says, wait, so how are you burning yourself with these phantom lines? Okay, so what I mean by burning myself, I have been burned, or I've been screwed by having phantom lines go across. And the phantom lines are just imperfections. And if you guys know from any of my videos, I will restart a project if there is any sort of errors, because a lot of the projects I sell, a lot of people don't want mess ups. So having a phantom line go across it, it literally just looks like someone took a pen and drew across it but engraved it in. I don't want that. So the best way to avoid that is to not give it the opportunity to do that, and the best way to not give it the opportunity to do that is to just make it a PNG. Not necessary if you trust your laser. I don't really trust it that much. I trust it enough to do this properly. Yeah, if another good point someone just made in the comment, if you ever have any questions, or if you ever want to talk about what you're working on, or have any laser questions, 3D printing questions, whatever, what have you, we do have a Discord channel. That Discord channel is very active. We have some really high quality people in there that have skill sets from every making supply that you can ever think of. Always talking in there about what we're working on, things we messed up, or just talking about life in general. It's a pretty solid community, so if you want to check it out, if you have a Discord, feel free to join us. You do not need to be a Patreon member of ours to be in that Discord. I highly recommend it, and you get full access to Turi and I. As far as this stream, this is where I'm going to end it. If you do need anything else, please just contact us. We're pretty available. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night, and we'll see you later.